So this is a terrific question, and it explains it illuminates why habits are so valuable. Because one of the reasons that habits are so valuable is that they create barriers to entry. Meaning, if a company has established a habit, it's very difficult for a competitor to come in and take that customer away. So if you're lucky enough to have built a consumer habit, you can kind of relax, right? Because it's very difficult for someone to take your customer away. Case in point, look at Google, right? I mean, Google owns about 80% market share, and it's not because it's a better product. It's just not a better product. In fact, when you do independent comparisons, when there's third parties that did head-to-head comparisons of a Google search versus a Bing search, and when they took the branding out so that people didn't know whose search results were whose, nobody could tell it apart. It was a 50-50 split
Yeah.
because there's no rule written anywhere that says the best product wins. I've never seen that rule anywhere. In fact, it's not necessarily the best product that wins. It's the product that can form the monopoly of the mind that can carry the market. So what do you do if you have the habit? Terrific. You can be like Google and basically, cash in on your cash cow all day that just, throwing off millions and millions of dollars every day. But if you are not lucky enough to form a habit with the user, and maybe your competitor has that habit, well, what do you do? How do you break that consumer habit and try and capture it for yourself? Well, there are only three ways that I know of to capture a competitor's habit. The first is to get the user to pass through the hook. Remember, the hook is the four-step process: the trigger, the action, the reward, and the investment, which I describe in my book. If you can get a user to pass through the hook with greater frequency, meaning throughout their day, if you can be the app, if you can be the solution that they pass through the hook more frequently with your product versus your competitor's product, that's the first way to break their habit with a competitor's product. The second way is to increase the velocity, meaning the speed with which they go through the four steps of the hook. So if you can build a product that's easier to use, if you condense the steps to give the user what they came for, to scratch their itch, and take them through trigger, action, reward, investment faster than your competition, that's the second way to break a competitor's habit. So first is frequency, second is velocity, third is making the reward more rewarding. So if you can make a product that's not just a little bit better, that doesn't just scratch the user's itch a little bit better, but has to be 10 times better than your competitor's solution in terms of scratching the user's itch, solving their problem, both from a psychological and functional standpoint, then you stand a chance. And it can't just be a little bit better. Remember, it has to be 10x better. So a good example of that is one reason that Facebook is so scared of Snapchat. Zuckerberg offered Snapchat $3 billion and was rebuffed. They turned down the offer. Now they're worth something reportedly around $15 billion. The reason he's so scared of Snapchat, and the reason that Facebook bought WhatsApp and Instagram, was because they threatened to own that habit because the reward was more rewarding. So let me illustrate. If you were to receive a message right this second from Facebook, and at the same time receive one from Snapchat, which would you open first? Of course, you would open the Snapchat because Snapchat has this property of the messages exploding. So you're much more likely to see a post that's flirty or funny or has a little bit less discretion to it. And so the reward, the reason we use this product in the first place, namely to connect with people and alleviate our boredom, is better than the existing solution, a lot better. And so that's why it's a threat to that existing habit. So velocity, frequency, and the reward has to be more rewarding.